morning, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. Happy Thursday and happy opening day for the Phillies. We've been broadcasting from the ballpark all morning, Citizens Bank Park. Our crew's been out there. We'll bring you some of the reporting they did out there and fun stuff they showed, including new amenities at the ballpark, as well as some of the latest fashions. I believe we got a report this morning that Bryce Harper's jersey is the #1 best-selling jersey on Major League Baseball's list right now. So we'll get you out there soon. Let's get a quick look at conditions outside. Right now it is 39 degrees, so a little chilly off to start, but we are expecting to get into the upper 50s for a high, so it should be a nice afternoon for baseball. Phillies with a 3:05 start against the Atlanta Braves down in South Philadelphia. To get started this morning, let's get you a live look at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. We'll start with some national news here. President Trump's post-Mueller victory lap continues today with a trip to the Midwest. Democrats in Washington, however, say not so fast. They want to see the special counsel's actual report. And as Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader reported from Washington this morning, President Trump wants to release some documents as well.
Well, President Trump's post-Robert Mueller investigation victory lap, I guess you could call it, continues today. He's going to take a trip out to the Midwest.
Democrats in Washington, though, they say not so fast. They want to see the special counsel's actual report. They're still saying, show me the report, Doug.
Yeah.
They are. And look, we'll probably see it. It's really just going to be a question of when. The president is talking about releasing some of the underlying classified documents that kind of kicked off this investigation.
Looks like our video froze up there. Let me see if I can jog that for you. Looks like our system's coming back here. All right, apologies for delay, but here's that package again from Doug Luzader in Washington.
Well, President Trump's post-Robert Mueller investigation victory lap, I guess you could call it, continues today. He's going to take a trip out to the Midwest.
Democrats in Washington, though, they say not so fast. They want to see the special counsel's actual report. They're still saying, show me the report, Doug.
Yeah.
They are. And look, we'll probably see it. It's really just going to be a question of when. The president is talking about releasing some of the underlying classified documents that kind of kicked off this investigation from the get-go. Democrats, meantime, are going to continue to press their case.
We have certainly seen boisterous Trump rallies before, but the one tonight in Michigan could be off the charts. With much of special counsel Robert Mueller's probe now in his rearview mirror, the president is turning his attention to how the investigation began and talking about declassifying warrant applications that some believe could point to wrongdoing at the FBI.
Oh, it looks like our video keeps getting stuck there. We'll come back to that report. In the meantime, apologies for those for the issue there. You're looking live at. It looks like our network feed switched to Education Secretary Betsy DeVos getting ready to testify before Congress. Here is our business report from Fox Business Network this morning. Dunkin' Donuts has a new item on its menu. What's behind the inspiration? Just in time for Easter.
We're back. Hopefully we're getting that shot of the sun rise. It's up. It's starting to, we can feel it on our faces, Alex.
We can.
And look at all the smoke. Now, the stadium's not on fire. We don't need to do some breaking news here. I believe that's a smoker that's been going for the last couple of hours. Barbecue.
They're going to be selling a lot of food here today.
Yeah, it smells good too.
Speaking of food, though, you know Easter, what's the candy that everybody likes to eat around Easter?
Peeps!
Yep, Peeps. And they're putting it in all kinds of things. Tracy, we just had Peeps cereal,
Yeah.
and it was actually pretty good. But Peeps coffee? Really?
Yes, Dunkin' has unveiled they will be selling their Peeps flavored coffee or their Peeps marshmallow donut. So the donut is an egg-shaped donut and it has a little peep on top, but the coffee is Peeps marshmallow flavored hot or iced coffee. You'll be able to get this starting Monday, April 1st. This is not an April Fool's joke. This is real. And to celebrate kicking off their Peeps tour with the Peeps Mobile. It'll be traveling around from April 2nd to the 4th, surprising people with free coffee. Starting in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, that's the home of Peeps, ending in Quincy, Massachusetts, yes. Dunkin's headquarters.
Well, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Dunkin'.
Well, maybe that means the coffee will be really sweet, and I like sweet.
Well, yeah.
Sugar on sugar.
You know, Trace, I haven't asked you this before. I like Peeps. Now, just a couple, around Easter I eat them, but I like them. I know that it's just
I
sugar.
do too.
You're not a big fan?
Oops.
We're back. Hopefully we're getting that shot of the sun rise.
My own
it's
package
up.
there.
It's starting to, we can feel it on our faces, Alex.
We'll get you,
and look at
business.
all the smoke. Now, the stadium's not on fire. We don't need to do some breaking news here. I believe that's a smoker that's been going for the last couple of hours. Barbecue.
They're going to be selling a lot of food here today.
Yeah, it smells good too.
Speaking of food, though, you know Easter, what's the candy that everybody likes to eat around Easter?
Peeps!
Yep, Peeps. And they're putting it in all kinds of things. Tracy, we just had Peeps cereal,
Yeah.
and it was actually pretty good. But Peeps coffee? Really?
Yes, Dunkin' has unveiled they will be selling their Peeps flavored coffee or their Peeps marshmallow donut. So the donut is an egg-shaped donut and it has a little peep on top, but the coffee is Peeps marshmallow flavored hot or iced coffee. You'll be able to get this starting Monday, April 1st. This is not an April Fool's joke. This is real. And to celebrate kicking off their Peeps tour with the Peeps Mobile. It'll be traveling around from April 2nd to the 4th, surprising people with free coffee. Starting in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, that's the home of Peeps, ending in Quincy, Massachusetts, yes. Dunkin's headquarters.
Well, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Dunkin'.
Well, maybe that means the coffee will be really sweet, and I like sweet.
Well, yeah.
Sugar on sugar.
Trace, I haven't asked you this before. I like Peeps. Now, just a couple, around Easter I eat them, but I like them. I know that it's just
I
sugar.
do too.
You're not a big fan?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan, but I like the Reese's eggs. They make them like that for Easter.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want a Peep in liquid form. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll just have to try it and see.
I will try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Tracy, did they tell you that we're out at the baseball stadium here in Philly today?
They did, yes. Go Phillies.
Yes. Are you a fan of the New York teams or LA?
I am not a fan of the New York teams. I'm not a fan of the LA team either.
All right.
I'm a fan of.
You're just
I'm a fan, I
non-committal.
guess, of the. Yes. If I had to pick a team, I would pick the San Francisco Giants.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Not, she's from the West Coaster. They have a beautiful stadium there too. But still, I say this now.
They do.
Hey, thank you. What's weird is I still consider this a brand new stadium, right? And it's really one of the best stadiums as far as the layout and all the amenities in Major League Baseball. But what's the odd fact this morning about the stadium?
Well, we learned that it's one of the oldest. It is the oldest. It's
It
the
is
oldest.
the oldest in the National League East now.
That's crazy. But they've
Time
been doing
marches
some
on.
renovations, so when you come, there's going to be some new parts that look a little different.
Yeah.
So they're improving it.
Well, it's been spit shined and polished up.
Yes,
and,
so it looks new.
but it's, 15 years old now.
Wow.
Boy.
Thank you to Tracy Carrasco for that report from Fox Business News about the Peeps inspired coffee, I believe it was, from Dunkin' Donuts. Taking a look at some business news. The stock market had a down day yesterday, but so far today it's up 90 points, about a third of a percentage point at the moment. Dow Jones Industrial at 25,714 right now. I do see a report on Fox Business News Network that the U.S. economy grew slightly slower in the fourth quarter than previously thought, with the gross domestic product lowering to 2.2% in a second reading on Thursday. That's marked down from the initial reading of 2.6%, according to data released by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. But the market is pressing forward regardless. As I said, right now it's up 88 points, 86 points, about a third of a percentage point. So we'll continue to monitor that. Let's get your check of weather right now. You're looking live at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway there. See the Philadelphia Museum of Art in the background. Not much to show you on Ultimate Doppler this morning, fortunately. Nice and dry out there. Here are your current temperatures. 44 right now in the city. 47 in Wildwood, that's the warm spot at the moment. Mount Pocono, the cool spot at 37. The 40s for much of the area. I believe that's pretty similar to our temperatures yesterday. Yep, about 24 hours ago this hour. We're 3 degrees warmer already than we were yesterday. Mount Pocono, 8 degrees warmer than the same time yesterday, so getting much warmer there. Here's your northeast temperatures. Bit of warmth to our west. Cleveland, 50 degrees. Clarksburg, 56. That warmer air is headed our way. Midwest in the 40s and 50s already. Florida, 70. Miami, 70 degrees. Tampa, 66. 64 in New Orleans and 64 in Houston. San Francisco already at 53 and Portland at 37. But to my eye, the lowest temperature on the map is above freezing right now. Rapid City, 35. We do have some Some winds out there, 9 miles per hour sustained right now in the city. Only 3 down in Wildwood, but 15 up in Mount Pocono. No real gusts to speak of, but you see those arrows pointed to the north. Winds coming out of the south. That's going to help us warm up. Wind chill making it feel like the 30s across much of the area, 40s to our south, and as cool as 28 up in Mount Pocono. Visibility is strong across the area, 10 miles, most places, Pottstown 9. And there's satellite. You see those clouds to our west, but not much over us. It's pretty much blue skies. Taking a look at the future cast to get a sense of the weather map across the continental U.S. See some rain moving into western Pennsylvania by Friday morning. Let's get you a look at Futurecast. There you see that rain moving in overnight to the west. But it stays out of our area for most of the day Friday, at least the city. Suburbs to the north and west could see some rain. Then Saturday overnight spreads a little further in and over our area by Saturday morning. There's more rain on Sunday. And you see that snow all the way up in the Poconos, perhaps, up in the Scranton and Williamsport areas. It's out of here by Sunday night. And Monday we look pretty dry. Here comes your 7-day forecast from the Fox 29 Weather Authority. Play ball, 58 today, 10 on our forecast by the numbers. Friday, mostly cloudy, 67 though. 9 on our forecast by the numbers. Overnight low of 46. Overnight we'll only dip to 53 into Saturday when we'll get to breezy and mild day, 72 for the Phillies' second game of the season there. Sunday rainy and cooler, high of 58 as the Phillies close that series with the Braves. Monday sunny and cooler, 50 for April Fool's Day, that's no joke. Tuesday mostly sunny, 54, and Wednesday shower chance, 57. Don't forget to download the Fox 29 Weather Authority app, available in the Google Play and Apple iTunes app stores. It's been updated, so it's got a great new user-friendly scroll option. Right when you get into the app, the homepage is scroll, so it highlights a lot of the features that have been in the app, but makes them more prominent. All right, if you'll bear with me, we'll try this the third time's the charm, right? Let's bring you Doug Luzader's report on the president and his reaction to the Mueller report, the summary released by Attorney General William Barr, and Democrats' reaction to that. I promise not to try and do anything in the background to freeze this up as I did the first 2 times. Let's see if this will play through. Nope, doesn't want to take that. So we're going to forget about that one for today. All right, let's listen into some of the testimony here. This is Education Secretary DeVos. We showed you a quick glance at this earlier, is testifying in a House Appropriations Committee hearing. Of course, she made waves the other day when she released a budget that called for some large cuts to the Special Olympics program. Federal funding that goes to that. Let's listen in for a bit to the testimony there. and we'll rejoin you in a little bit.
For survivors and allow colleges to actually shirk their responsibility to investigate claims of sexual assault and keep our students safe. I believe that if your rule goes into effect, campus sexual assault will once again be swept under the rug because students will not feel comfortable coming forward knowing their school is less likely to act when they have been assaulted. So I genuinely hope that you take the time to read some of the 100,000 comments students and survivors submitted on that rule. And I hope you listen to their stories, listen to these students, and start over on a rule that actually ensures schools are doing everything they can to keep students safe and give students a fair process that does not force them to be re-traumatized after they have reported an assault. And finally, I want to note how concerned I am about the department's responsiveness to this committee's direction. Your department has slow-walked the hiring of staff at the Office of Civil Rights, despite explicit direction from this committee. You have ignored committee report language directing the department to protect student loan borrowers from unfair, deceptive practices of student loan companies. The department has dismissed a committee directive for a new competition for an open textbook pilot program designed to help our college students better afford higher education. And you have ignored committee directives to provide relief to student loan borrowers who were cheated and defrauded by predatory for-profit college, which now stands at 140,000 claims and counting. What surprised me about this inaction is that during last year's hearing, Chairman Blunt reminded you of the importance of being responsive to our committee. Additionally, you have not responded to a number of requests for information from me about critical aspects of department policy and administration, and I know several of Chairman Scott and Chair DeLauro's letters are also unanswered. It is unacceptable and unconstitutional to ignore Congress's oversight responsibilities and authority, so I expect answers to those letters as quickly as possible. And I hope in addition to answers to all of our questions today, we get a commitment from you to respond to those letters in a timely manner and be responsive to this committee's direction. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Murray. Secretary, welcome again today, and we'll look forward to your opening remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Blunt. Chairman Blunt, Ranking Member Murray, and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on the President's fiscal year 2020 budget. I thought it would be useful to begin by recalling Congress's commitment when it created the U.S. Department of Education 40 years ago. Then, Congress vowed that the move would, quote, not increase the authority of the federal government over education or diminish the responsibility for education, which is reserved to the states. And I'll add communities and parents. This budget reflects a commitment to that sentiment. It also recognizes who actually funds the government's budget, American taxpayers. And so we propose Congress spend their money wisely, efficiently, and with restraint. The President's fiscal year 2020 budget would reduce overall funding for department programs by $7.1 billion, which is a 10% decrease from 2019's appropriated level. The budget eliminates, streamlines, or reduces funding for many programs that are duplicative, are ineffective, or are nonprofit organizations already appropriately supported by states, communities, or private philanthropy. Our proposed reduction is similar to last year's request and the year before that as well. I acknowledge that you rejected those recommendations. I also acknowledge that it's easier to keep spending, to keep saying yes, to keep saddling tomorrow's generations with today's growing debt. But as it's been said, the government will run out of other people's money. Over the past 40 years, federal taxpayer spending on education has increased about 180%, amounting to over $1.2 trillion cumulatively. And yet we're still 24th in reading, 25th in science, and 40th in math when compared to the rest of the world. Doing the same thing and more of it won't bring about new results. I propose a different approach: freedom. This budget focuses on freedom for teachers, freedom for parents, and freedom for all students. A great education shouldn't be determined by where you live nor by who you know. It shouldn't be determined by family income. And education shouldn't be an old school one-size-fits-all approach. Every student is unique and everyone learns differently. Every child should be free to learn where and how it works for them, where and how it unlocks their potential. That's why the President's 2020 budget proposes a historic investment in America's students, education freedom scholarships. Our bold proposal will offer a dollar-for-dollar federal income tax credit for voluntary contributions to 501c3 nonprofit organizations that provide scholarships to school students, not school buildings. These students, their families, teachers, schools, states, all can choose to participate in the program, or they can elect not to participate. It's a choice. And since the proposal relies entirely on voluntary contributions to nonprofit organizations, it won't take a single dollar from local public school teachers or public school students. Indeed, our budget maintains current levels of funding for Title I and IDEA. And something else. Education freedom scholarships aren't only for students who want to attend private schools. In fact, some states may choose to design scholarships for public school options, such as apprenticeships or transportation to a different public school. States have the opportunity to be really imaginative and to serve the unique needs of their students. We don't have to look far to see that education freedom works. Thanks to a menu of options and the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program, embraced by teachers, parents, and students alike, more than half of students in the district attend schools other than their assigned one, and there is still significant unmet demand. We propose Congress double the DC program's funding to $30 million to meet those students' needs. This administration believes students of all ages should be free to pursue multiple pathways to higher education and successful careers. That's why this budget proposes to expand the use of Pell Grants for quality short-term programs. It also invests in career and technical education and streamlines student loan repayment. The latter is urgently necessary because today federal student aid holds $1.5 trillion in outstanding loans, more than total auto debt and credit card debt. And 43% of those student loans are either in default, more than 30 days delinquent, or are negatively amortized. And taxpayers are on the hook for it all. This budget consolidates numerous repayment plans and raises the cap on a borrower's monthly payment to 12.5% of discretionary income. This is one way the federal government can become a more responsible lender. Policies should not entice students into greater debt, nor should they put taxpayer dollars at greater risk. Education freedom isn't just for parents and students. Teachers need greater freedom as well. We seek to empower America's teachers and elevate their profession via this budget with a new total investment of $370 million. I regularly meet with a number of excellent teachers who tell me they'd like to choose their own professional development and customize it for their needs. To that end, the budget requests an increase of $170 million to focus on development that is controlled by teachers, not dictated by the district office. These teacher vouchers treat teachers as the professionals they are. Teachers also tell me about the value of mentors or residency opportunities. So we're requesting $200 million to enable new teachers more opportunities to learn from the best. It's also essential that teachers and students be safe at school. In the wake of tragic acts of school violence in our country, President Trump asked me to lead a federal commission on school safety. To support the commission's recommendations, we request $200 million to help communities develop their own school emergency plans and to focus on counseling and healthy behaviors for their students. In the end, budgets are about priorities. Ours are students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers. If our country is to remain secure, strong, prosperous, and free, we need students of all ages who are prepared to pursue successful careers and lead meaningful lives. Thank you for this opportunity to testify, and I look forward to your questions.
Well, thank you, Secretary. Let's talk a little about workforce training first. Clearly this is at this moment in most places around the country, a very highly employed workforce in terms of percentage of workforce. I think in our state, my state of Missouri, the number is 3.2. The mayor of Springfield, my hometown, was in the other day. He said the number there is 2% unemployed. People are at work, and more and more of the recent trips I'm taking, people are talking about the people they've gone ahead and hired, but who really aren't ready yet for the jobs they already have. And they're a new term I hadn't heard before, used 2 or 3 times, was incumbent training. You know, training the incumbent workforce they already have. But constantly the idea comes up of what we can do to give people more information and better choices earlier. You know, all of our funding programs have very much focused on traditional higher education, 2-year, 4-year college degrees. What can we do to make it more possible for people to get into 15-week certifiable programs? Is there some way we can restructure the Pell Grants so that some of them could be used? And if we did that, who would be the more logical gatekeeper in that kind of world?
Senator, great questions, and this is an issue for all of us to grapple with and to find ways to help individuals really move on to their next opportunities. We know that there are over 7 million jobs going unfilled today, and one of the proposals the budget makes is around short-term Pell Grants to allow for high-quality certification or certificate programs to access, and that's part of the proposal. Another part, I think, is really wrapped into this notion of education freedom that we believe should expand from the youngest of ages through lifelong learning. And the proposal we have to create a federal tax credit that states could then opt to take and use within their state to create programs to meet their own unique needs could allow for expansion of apprenticeship programs in high school, starting in high school, expansion of dual enrollment programs. I happen to agree with you that students need to learn much earlier on what some of their options are and their opportunities for advancement. And so these are just a couple of the ways that states could address these things with a new and creative approach.
In terms of earlier on, Secretary Acosta and I went to the Carpenters Union training facility in St. Louis, and they were talking about the lost decade that most people in that program have, that 10 years after they get out of high school, they're sort of searching for something to do, and usually do that in very low-skill, low-compensated jobs, and then back in a program. Another thing, by the way, we learned at that program that we've been working on in our state is what does it take to walk at the same time with a trade union certificate and an associate's degree? And the answer at that program was 15 hours. And all of our potential journeymen know that from day one, what those 15 hours need to look like and how over the 2 or 3 years of this program, while they're working, they can get it. But the other kinds of apprenticeship programs that aren't necessarily the trade union programs, how do we certify whether they qualify for a 15-week certificate or the access to Pell Grants that you mentioned in this report?
Well, I think these are very important questions, and we would look forward to working with Congress to put the appropriate guardrails around such a program and suggest that this is a really important time for employers, for business and industry to be working closely with educators to help create those programs. The Swiss model actually has a lot to be learned and gained, and I would recommend that we look more closely at how they approach apprenticeships. Almost three quarters of high school students are in an earn and learn situation, and it's in a wide variety of paths, of avenues, and I think those are great opportunities for us to really look at and embrace, but would look forward to working with you.
All right, very good. Let me ask one more question. You've mentioned now, again, the Education Freedom Scholarships. You're not asking for anything in this appropriation for that. That's a Finance Committee that's purely
part of the Department of Treasury.
Not that our members shouldn't have questions about it, but there's nothing we're asking for here.
Doesn't create a new program, just creates a new opportunity.
And the funding would come through a tax committee decision.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Senator Murray.
Secretary DeVos, since you assumed office, federal student loan borrowers who've been cheated by their colleges and overwhelmingly by predatory for-profit colleges have been blocked from getting the relief that they do deserve. Borrower defense claims are pending review by your department, and this number seems to increase by hundreds every day. When was the last time the department approved a borrower defense claim?
Senator, thanks for your question, but I'll be happy to answer that. But before I do, I just want to address one thing that you said in your opening statement, because I want to ensure you attacked and questioned my personal motives and my priorities. And I just want to be clear where my heart is. My heart is with all students. And for their futures, I want every single student to have opportunity.
I appreciate that. I only have 3.5 minutes left.
I understand.
So
I wanted to address that because I
appreciate that. Can you answer the question? When was the last time the department approved a borrower defense claim?
The department is reviewing and approving the ones for closed loan discharge regularly. As you know, the borrower defense rule, the judge has requested that be put into effect. We are in the process of doing so.
So
let me just remind you that when I came into office, we were greeted with tens of thousands of claims for borrower defense, and we did not agree with the Obama administration's approach to this.
I understand that, but a court order has now told you to move
and we
forward
are in the process of implementing that.
My question is simple. Has the department approved even one borrower defense claim since that court order?
I believe so. We're reviewing them regularly.
How many?
I don't have the specific number. I'd be happy if you'd like to submit a question for the record.
I'd like to know if any of your
back.
staff members behind you have an idea of when how many have been approved? Well, okay. Apparently not. There's nothing stopping you from providing full relief to struggling borrowers today. Surely there must be some of those borrowers who you feel deserve a full discharge. And I don't understand why the department can't fully discharge the loan today for tens of thousands who were defrauded years ago by Corinthian colleges, including more than 2,000 from my home state who are waiting.
The Corinthian College students' claims are being processed and dealt with forthwith and will continue to be. And we are continuing to review the appropriate steps based on the judge's request that this 2016 regulation be implemented, while at the same time we are continuing to work on revising the regulation.
That was 6 months ago, and those students are still waiting, that the court ordered this to move forward. So these students are waiting. And I want to know if you can get back to me how many have been approved, because it appears to me that we have not moved forward at all on this, and that's not fair to those students or their families or their future. Let me move on. Earlier this year, your department attempted to replace the acting inspector general with a department employee after your deputy secretary inappropriately and perhaps illegally requested that the OIG, quote, reconsider any plan that it might have to review the department's 2018 decision and 2018 recommendation, unquote, to re-recognize the Accrediting Council for Independent Colleges and Schools. This so-called accrediting agency looked the other way while students were being cheated and being defrauded by predatory for-profit colleges, including that now defunct Corinthian College, ITT Technical Institutes, and Education Corporation of American Colleges. A number of my colleagues in the House and the Senate have asked for information multiple times to understand what exactly happened, and the response that we have received so far from the department has really been inadequate. Will you commit to us to provide substantive answers to our questions on this?
Senator, I'll be happy to. If you can clarify what exactly you're asking. Are you asking regarding the IG or ACICS?
Well, we've been very clear on both, and we have that written into you we got back a very inadequate response, mostly blanked out, and we deserve to have an answer on this. And Mr. Chairman, this whole episode really leaves me concerned about the independence and objectivity of the Department of Education's acting inspector general. I think we have to act to really establish the same kind of protections for this department's OAG that several other subcommittees have done to provide their inspector generals the ability to be independent and objective, and I would like to work with you on that.
I'm glad to work with you further on that, and thank you for...
Mr. Chairman, could I just respond to the IG issue just a moment before we move on? I want to clarify the fact that when our Inspector General retired, a process was put into place to name an acting Inspector General, Phil Rosenfeld, a 48-year employee of the Education Department, who is his integrity and capabilities are unassailable and impeccable. That process was begun in October. When the acting was named, it was later changed, and the acting that assumed the role after Kathy retired was put back into place, and we consider the matter closed. But to suggest that anything nefarious was unfolding there is absolutely wrong, and I want to go very clearly on the record.
If you would, put that all in writing to us, because you didn't do that, but I will say that you completely left out the part here where the Deputy Secretary inappropriately and again, perhaps illegally, requested that they reconsider a plan that they have to do because of their independence. So I think there are numerous questions about this. If you will respond to us as we requested in writing fully, then we can have a conversation about whether it was appropriate or not. But meanwhile, again, Mr. Chairman, think it's important for us to preserve the integrity and independence of an Attorney General of this department as other departments have.
Seems reasonable that we could get that response within the same time of the window for the other questions that will come in writing, and we'll consider that a question for the record, and I'll be glad to follow up with you on this. Senator Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Madam Secretary. Mr. Chairman, I want to go back to your earlier comments, and it's not a subject for education, but it's an important subject for this subcommittee. I want to thank you and Senator Murray, Senator Durbin, other members of the subcommittee for your leadership in setting priorities over the last 3 years on the National Institutes of Health. You've made significant increases in medical life-saving research, and you've done that the hard way by setting priorities, and that's real legislative leadership, and I thank you both for that. Second, I agree with you about needing a number. I think both Democrats and Republicans would like for us to have a number to which we could begin to measure our appropriations, and the sooner the better. And I hope that will happen. Madam Secretary, I want to just mention a couple of things before I ask you a question. One, I appreciated the President's executive order about colleges having skin in the game when it comes to loaning money to students to go to college. Senator Murray and I, as she said, are working together to try to reauthorize the Higher Education Act. We hope to do that in the next few months, have something before our committee. And accountability and colleges having more participation in a sort of skin in the game is an important part of that discussion, and the administration's position, in my view, is helpful. Second, I want to thank you for putting the FAFSA on a mobile device. 20 million families fill out the federal application form for Pell Grants and student loans every year. It's 108 questions long. Again, Senator Murray and I are working to simplify that. We co-sponsored legislation to take 22 questions off the FAFSA and keep families from having to give the same information twice to the government by allowing them to just one-click import from the Treasury Department the information they've already given to the application for student aid. You've supported that, And you've made it easier for students to fill this out. I watched the students in Sevier County, Tennessee, work through even the 108 questions a lot more rapidly than I would have thought. So that's a big help. The other thing I wanted to say is I want to commend you for your support for charter schools, and I keep wondering what the opposition to charter schools is. When they were invented by the Democratic Farmer Labor Party in Minnesota, 12 of them in the early 90s, they've grown to 7,000. Their goal is to give, they're all public schools. The goal is to give teachers more freedom and children more freedom. They've been supported by every education secretary we've had since then and by every president, including President Obama, President Clinton, and the last Democratic Secretary of Education was an operator of charter schools. So I admire your support for charter schools. If you've got some extra money in one account, I'd like for it to be put in another account so we can encourage giving teachers more freedom and students more choices of public schools. Now, here's one thing you've got that's new, and I've just got a minute and a half left, but I'm intrigued by your idea of giving stipends to teachers. I always thought, I know Secretary Duncan, President Obama's secretary, expressed this thought. Senator Harkin said the same thing, that the Title II funding was probably the worst spent money in the federal education program. It's supposed to be for professional development, but it's split up between reducing class size by most states and check-the-box programs that most teachers don't find useful. Your proposal, as I understand it, is to begin a demonstration project to give teachers actually stipends so they could spend it at programs that they choose. I think back of the Governor's School for Teachers of Writing that we had at the University of Tennessee when I was governor. Teachers loved it. They went for 2 weeks, learned about writing, went back reinvigorated to their schools. It only cost a few $100s each. Purdue University offers STEM programs. There are many programs across the country that could be accredited. What is your thinking about stipends for teachers to use their development money to choose their own professional development?
Well, thanks, Senator, for that question. It is part of our budget proposal to really empower teachers directly to advance their own careers, to develop themselves through a teacher voucher. And the concept is such that teachers we would have a pilot program and demonstrate through the program the effectiveness of giving teachers the empowerment over development dollars for them. So early stage career teachers may choose one type of training. A mid-career teacher may choose something around, developing their own subject area or matter further. And then later stage career teachers may be involved with learning how to become mentors and guides for the newer teachers. Very wide range of opportunities and possibilities, and the thought is to have a pilot targeted program to test this out, but with meaningful funds behind it to give teachers the opportunity to make some meaningful decisions for their own development. Thank you very much, Mr. and Madam Secretary. I think if you'd called a stipend instead of a voucher, you'd have fewer heart attacks on the other side of the aisle. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Alexander.
All right, you've been watching Education Secretary Betsy DeVos speaking before the House Appropriations Committee and taking some questions. Of course, as I mentioned at the beginning of that, she's taken some heat the last couple of days from Democrats about proposed cuts to special education funding in the latest budget that's been submitted to the administration. Didn't quite get to much conversation about that, but you heard senators asking multiple questions of her and getting some responses. Here's another look at Market Street East outside our studios here in Old City, Philadelphia. I want to get you to some breaking news that's come in. We have a guilty, let me get you the information here. A jury that's been deliberating the case of a man who raped, strangled, and dismembered his girlfriend's 14-year-old adopted daughter says he should die for his crime. Here you see Jeff Cole, a reporter in the courthouse there, today. Says Bucks County jury had to reach a unanimous decision to sentence Jacob Sullivan to death. He admitted to sexual attack and the choking death of Grace Packer, 14. Jurors resumed their discussions this morning and then announced they had Jacob Sullivan's fate. He pleaded guilty to murdering Grace Packer in 2016. Yesterday, jurors told the judge they could not reach a unanimous verdict, but the judge sent them right back. Grace's mother, Sarah Packer, is also set to plead guilty. Sullivan's sentencing hearing is slated to begin soon. Fox 29's Jeff Cole is there, as I mentioned, and we'll have the latest on today's Fox 29 News at 5 and 6 o'clock. But again, Jeff tweeting from outside the courthouse, or at the courthouse, that the jury has reached a unanimous decision to sentence, to put Jacob Sullivan to death. There's a formal sentencing hearing that is expected to occur, and then Grace Packer's mother has yet to be sentenced, has yet to plead guilty, and that is expected to occur soon. I want to get you to another breaking story we've been following this morning. Two Wilmington sanitation workers have been hospitalized after an apparent explosion in their garbage truck. Investigators say the workers were loading trash into their truck Thursday just before 7 a.m. on the unit block of Vandiver Avenue in Wilmington. According to officials, the workers began to compress the trash. A worker apparently saw some sort of tank in the truck. The compressor pushed down on the tank, and the tank reportedly exploded. A 40-year-old worker was rushed to Christiana Hospital with a chest wound. That worker is listed in critical condition with non-life-threatening injuries. A second worker was transported to Wilmington Hospital for minor injuries. Let me just double check on that. I know I saw a press release come through. I think that is the latest we have. So again, two sanitation workers hospitalized after that accident in Wilmington. We'll bring you any more information as it becomes available. Here are some more local stories for you. Faculty and staff at the Community College of Philadelphia say they're going on strike. In an almost unanimous vote, all but 4 of about 1,200 members voted to approve the strike. The union representing them says they've been working without a contract for 3 years. It says the staff's overworked and underpaid, and as a result, not giving students the best quality education possible.
People were like, yeah, me. Put your hoodie on underneath.
Another local university is reporting a case of the mumps. Health officials say a student at the University of Pennsylvania has now tested positive for the virus. Penn joins Temple, Westchester, and Drexel with at least one confirmed case of the mumps, but health officials don't believe the Penn case is related to a Temple outbreak. Yesterday, more than 2,000 students, faculty, and staff members got vaccinated at the free clinic at Temple. Since the outbreak began about a month ago, the Philadelphia Department of Health has seen 106 cases. Officials say the best way to prevent it from spreading even further is to get that vaccine, even if you already got it as a child. Temple is holding another free clinic tomorrow. In Bucks County, Pennsylvania, a warning before you leave your house. Warminster Township Police are investigating several burglaries that all happened during the day while people were away from their homes. Police say the thieves are smashing the back doors of the houses in order to get them get in and grabbing whatever they can between the hours of 7:30 in the morning and 3:30 in the afternoon. Residents have been shaken by the crime spree and are upset by the lack of information that they've received about it.
That is actually really disappointing because you should be letting people know what's going on in your neighborhood, especially if something like burglaries is happening in homes around here. But yeah, that would be I am really pissed off to hear that actually.
Police say they'll be looking to the public in order to identify the suspects. Wawa is helping to fight homelessness with some help from a James Beard Award-winning chef. Sabina, our own Fox 29 Sabina Kiriakos, is live from the new Wawa at 9th and South Streets this morning. She had this report for us this morning.
We're here at Wawa, where we are here with Chef Farley Kaiser, and you whipped up this hoagie for us in like 2 minutes. I stormed in and I was like, where's the hoagie? Tell me all about it.
We're really excited to collaborate and partner with the Rooster Group and being able to give back to Broad Street Ministry.
That's right.
We collaborated on this recipe. We're going to be featuring this recipe in our inner city stores in the month of April, as well as the Rooster Soup Company is going to be doing the same thing in their stores. And the proceeds of this meatball hoagie is going to be going to benefit Broad Street Ministries. It was just a really, really exciting opportunity to give back to the community. We're such a great organization, and they're just doing amazing, amazing things to radically change things for the community in Philadelphia.
Okay, and we're getting a preview because this isn't actually on sale quite yet.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's basically what we did was we took we did garlic cheese bread and we stuffed our hearty meatballs and marinara into it. We topped it with our spicy hot cherry pepper relish, and then we topped it with our Parmesan cheese. And just really nice, good comfort food. We did this because it was a collaboration with Chef Michael Solomonov.
Yeah, because I asked you, what's the deal with the meatball?
Because he loves them. And we were excited about that. So, I mean,
he does the Rooster, which is all of those proceeds for that restaurant go towards the Broad Street Ministry. Yeah. So it's a great partnership, you guys.
It is, and they're doing a lot of great work for the community. So we were just excited that they wanted to partner with us and then really be able to do a lot more work in ways that we can drive awareness to what is happening, out in the communities, and ways for other people to not only be able to support the mission of what's going on, but also find other ways that they can, people can get involved in the community and
we want to mention, well, Wawa is one of our sponsors for Fox 29, and we are so thankful and grateful always to partner with you guys because you do such amazing work. I mean, we did, Operation Brotherly Love. Oh my, when you guys are out there doing stuff for the community, it's obvious that you actually care about it and want to do it. So, all right, thank you for joining us. Also, we want to mention this is 9th and South. This is the grand opening, so that's also part of it. And hey, Meatball Sub, we're in the Italian market.
Yeah,
good to go.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Sabina, for that report. One other story I wanted to get you also here is a story that our Steve Keeley was following all morning long. A manhunt is underway in South Philadelphia this morning after police say robbery suspects pointed a gun at officers during a chase. This all began around 3 a.m. near 12th and Bainbridge. Police tell us they were chasing a group of robbers when they ran into a home under construction near Juniper and Cater Streets. That's when one of the suspects pointed a gun at police and officers opened fire. No one was hit. Police say those two of those suspects were caught, and 2 guns were recovered, but investigators are still looking for the 3rd suspect and another gun. Steve Keeley's live reports we have from this morning on Good Day Philadelphia on our website. So if you Want more information? That's certainly available there on our website or our app. We also posted a story to Facebook earlier this morning, Fox 29 Philadelphia on Facebook. It looks like House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will be holding her weekly news conference shortly. We'll try to get you out to that. In the meantime, let's get you to, as we mentioned, today is opening day. It's a beautiful day in the city for a ball game. Our Good Day crew was down at Citizens Bank Park all morning, and among the things they showed was a look at some of the changes at the ballpark this year. Those include the new pass and stow. So what's better than ballpark food? Here we go. This is our report from Good Day this morning on some of the new and different things you'll see at the ballpark when you go to root on the Phillies.
Spring, like we've been talking about. It's going to be nice and warm for a little bit, and it's going to get back cold. But that's on April Fool's Day, so I don't believe it just yet. Okay, so we've been waiting on Mike because he went over to Pass and Stow. You guys remember McFadden's. It's a big institution here. And yes, it's been changed, but a lot of people say it's for the better. It's a new area, has all kinds of different things. So Mike is going to show it to us. Outdoor beer garden, sports pub. Mike, let's see it.
Yeah, I'm at basically the main gate, right across from Xfinity Live. This is where Questlove is going to be. They got the stage set up for Questlove. And look at the sign up there. It's on, Philly. So maybe that's going to be kind of a new slogan this year. So Questlove around 2 o'clock performance for you. And then remember there used to be a big fence here that blocked off McFadden's. Well, now the fence is gone. So this is a place called Goose Island, big bar with monitors where you can watch the game. So, again, the big fencing is all gone. Now, you have to have a ticket to the game to get into this new kind of facility, this Pass and Stow. And they got pizza ovens over here. It seems like a bigger space, but it's really not. They just really worked it out well. And then the big sign here that used to be McFadden's, now it's Pass and Stow. And those, I think, were the names of historic figures that that were responsible for the Liberty Bell that ended up in a creek. You know the story of the Liberty Bell and the crack and all that kind of stuff. So look how nice this restaurant is. Pass and Stow. I'm going to come around because I can smell some food. Boy, this is gorgeous. And I think we showed this maybe earlier. We're all missing the 30th Street Station clip, the flatboard, or whatever they call it. And so we got the clickety-clack of that. Can you guys kill this music in here? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Let me bring you right over here. Okay. Introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hi,
we're live.
Are we?
Yeah.
I'm Bonnie Negron. I'm the executive chef at Citizens Bank Park with Aramark.
And Pass and Stow.
Pass and Stow.
What? You got some food laid out. Can we go over and look at it?
Of course we can.
Tom, come around this side of me here, and let's start down at the end. What is that thing on the platter?
That's a donut burger. That's being served in concessions, actually, but it's a burger, cheese, bacon, red pepper jam on a nice donut.
Now, hold on a second. The bun is a donut.
It's a donut.
What do you call it?
A donut burger.
Simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that.
Name it after yourself. Okay, down in the skillet then?
We have tandoori chicken wings, cashmere spice, yogurt marinated. That's being served in Pass and Stow.
Okay.
We have for our vegan friends that are coming to the game today, we have a cauliflower wrap.
Something healthy at a ballpark.
Yes. We try to cater to all.
I love it.
This is being served in Harry the K's. And another thing that we're featuring this year, I don't know if you've heard of this. I think this is going to be a big hit. It's a Questlove vegetarian cheesesteak.
Questlove not only is performing,
correct,
throwing out the first pitch, he has his own cheesesteak.
Correct.
Now, what makes it a Questlove?
His involvement.
So is it just a regular cheesesteak?
No, it's a vegan cheesesteak.
It's vegan.
Soy based. We're not saying it's a vegan. The product itself is vegan, but the roll's not a vegan roll. So we're saying it's a vegetarian option.
It's nice and tight, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's a great product.
It's a nice looking area, too.
Really is.
You know,
it really is.
It doesn't even seem like the old. I like the new colors and all that. And the clapboard there, the flipboard, whatever, it reminds you of 30th Street Stations, and it makes the same noise. That's a cool move. And this mural over here.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
And a lot of monitors. And they're big. Yep. That is great. Hey, Tom, real quick. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Pleasure to meet you all. See you this afternoon. Yep. Hey, come over here. And then McFadden's went all the way down there, right? Well, now that down in that hole there is a Shake Shack. So you remember you'd walk through here and then you go out to the stadium? Look at this. They've turned this into a Shake Shack. All behind, well, maybe come over here. Let's see if they're open yet. Speaking of frozen custard. Yeah, they're not in there making hamburgers yet, but they'll be open by probably noon. Isn't this cool, Alex? You stuff our face.
Very cool. I think it's great. Yeah, and they have fire pits out there. There's a lot going on. It's a pretty cool thing. And when it comes to that Shake Shack, it's the only Shake Shack in a stadium that has a full dine-in area. So it's not just walk up to the stand and grab your burger and go. You can sit down and eat. So it's a great thing. All right, we're going to be here all day, basically, hanging out. So when you guys come out, make sure you check.
That was Mike Jarek showing you some of the new and different elements at the ballpark today. Is your outfit game day ready? Our Jen Frederick has this report. A bit of a fashion show that occurred down at the ballpark today.
We're doing the fashion show, and we're here in the, now I'm going to call this the new era team store. Right. Can I do that?
New era team store, absolutely.
So I'm here with Francis, and if you want to look good for the Phillies season, this is the guy you need to know. He's a senior merchandise manager. Did I get that correct?
Let's go with that, yes.
Okay, he said let's go with that. I love it. But if we're going to do a fashion show in the new era team store, we need to do it, and what do you call this, the largest?
This is the largest headwear wall in the United States. A brand new era hat wall. Awesome.
Okay, so we have all kinds of hats here, but you need more than just hats if you're going to look good this Phillies season. So I just want to let you guys know it's out with the old and in with the new. So if you have this Phillies logo, you're old school, man. That's so last season, okay? We're trying to get up to date with the new Phillies logo.
New hats right here.
Yeah, so the difference basically is the Liberty Bell and a little more color.
A few tweaks, a little darker blue. We've got some sharper contrast in here, different shape of the bell. Don't worry about it. Okay. All kinds of good stuff here.
Yeah, good stuff. So let's see what this stuff looks like on some humans. How about that? Our models. So let's start this fashion show. All right, let's start with the ladies.
All right, our first model here is rocking this new logo. So this is a long sleeve raglan by Fifth and Ocean New Era. A lovely piece for the ladies.
I also like her hat. I love it when you have bling and sequins.
A little bit of bling never gets old.
I love it. It looks very cute on her, and I love that it's kind of the old baseball tee where the sleeves are red.
Raglan, a 3/4 sleeve, very good.
Very nice. Okay, thank you so much. All right, we need to have, this is for opening day.
Absolutely. So William has the opening day cap from New Era, the opening day matchup T-shirt. So a commemorative item there with both teams' logos on the charcoal gray tee. We've also got all kinds of opening day novelties. So I have here the opening day baseball. We've got a couple pins lined up, a lot of collectibles to commemorate this special day.
You can say, I was here for the World Series season, maybe? Crossing our fingers.
Easy, one at a time.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to bring out our next model. I like this.
So this is one of my favorites. This is a French Terry Phil's crew neck. I believe that was 1930s. That was a jersey they wore on the road. This PHILS, one of my favorites. Love that piece.
The Phils. Gotta love it. Thank you. Appreciate that. And we're bringing another lady. Now, you guys are going kind of highfalutin this year. We have a designer in here.
So we are introducing for the first time a Phillies and DKNY collaboration. So this is legit DKNY. They're bringing all their department store fashion to the ballpark. We've got a number of silhouettes. We've got a couple hoodies. We've got some pants. We've got capris. We've got a tank. And we have a dress, all from DKNY with Phillies marks.
I also like her hat. That's pretty cool.
That's another really good hat with a micro logo, a metal embossed micro logo. The good one. Black on black on black. See, the label's all blacked out.
Now, since we're in Philly, though, can we call it DKNY? Should it be DKPHL or DK Phil?
We can tweak it a little bit. I think
we'll call Donna Karen and we'll work it out.
We'll call Donna Karen.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's go back to the fellas because they need to have the new logo too.
Absolutely. So we have the new logo for everybody. This is a solid piece here. It's just a red pullover hoodie. He's wearing on his head here. You also see the new batting practice cap. So that's the Hex Tech fabrication by New Era. It's got that new bell. That's our best-selling cap since we got it in a few weeks ago.
So out of all these hats on the wall, this is the one everybody's getting.
1,013 different facings of caps we have in the store. This is the best seller. And the players will be wearing this. Bryce will be wearing that when he debuts on the field for batting practice today.
All right, thank you so much. And finally, to close it out.
Last but not least, Bryce Harper shirts.
So, these are big.
Absolutely. I think he's got a Bryce Harper hat on, too, on the other side. Other side. So he's got a side patch hat. We've got a plethora of Bryce Harper number 3 shirts for men, ladies, kids. We've got headwear. We've got big heads. We've got pins. We've got all kinds of fun stuff. Koozies and lanyards and oh my goodness.
So for the people who are wondering, though, because I know you guys are already open now, we've seen people, they're already buying things. For the folks who are wondering, are you going to sell out of the Bryce Harper stuff, or if you have so many, it'll be hard to?
If we sell out of Bryce Harper stuff today, then we're going to be all right. We're locked and loaded. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Now, it is still a little chilly this morning, so we do have some warm things. Will you want to describe what I'm wearing this morning?
This is the Vant vest.
Here, I'm going to actually take it off.
The Rant vest, very good. This is by Antigua, a nice little faux fur piece with some red pop. I like it.
And it has a nice little hood in the back, which I appreciate. Yes, and it's kept me very warm, so thank you so much. I've appreciated it.
Absolutely, and we've got warm gear for everybody, so it is going to be a little bit chilly. It's going to be beautiful out. It's cold in the shade, so hand warmers and knit hats and blankets, we got it all.
You can get it all here. Also, you guys aren't done. You're also getting more stuff as the season goes on, so just keep checking back at the New Era team store.
We're open 7 days a week all year round. Lots of goodies here. Come on by.
We're ready to look good this season. We're going to take a break.
Thank you. That was Alex Hawley, obviously. I think I said Jen Fred leading into that. Let's get you straight away to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is holding her weekly news conference. Just started a couple moments ago while we're in that package. Here is the House Speaker.
Education and work and labor, Bobby Scott, and energy and commerce, a big chunk of it, with Frank Pallone. Some of that legislation was marked up in committee yesterday. But led by our freshmen and the committee chairs, we've introduced, this is a long title, Protecting Pre-Existing Conditions and Making Healthcare More Affordable Act. Very descriptive of our purpose. Strengthens protections with people with pre-existing conditions by stopping insurance companies from swindling families with their junk plans, which the administration thinks is a good idea. Reverses GOP sabotage that neatly spiked premiums and left more people uninsured, and takes new action to lower health care premiums by increasing subsidies and raising the threshold for eligibility for those subsidies. According to the Center for Budget and Policy Priorities, our bill would reduce premiums for more than 13 million Americans. Unfortunately, in stark contrast, the Trump administration radically expanded its war on America's health care this week. Hard to explain, but who knows. Asking the court to strike down every last provision of the Affordable Care Act. Striking down protections against pre-existing conditions. Striking down bans on lifetime limit and annual limits. Striking down the Medicaid expansion. Striking down tax subsidies that make health care affordable and more, and all would be ended if the president gets his way. We will fight that. We'll fight that in the Congress. We'll fight it in the court, and we'll fight it in the court of public opinion, as I'm fond of saying. We stand ready to make health care better, to reach our goal of ever-expanding access to many more people, better quality, more affordable health care. That's why we called it the Affordable Care Act way back when we passed it. Didn't have a gimmicky name. It just had a factual name, affordable, and that means accessible as well. This week, we're happy to have Democrats honor the promise of For the People when we took bold action on climate crisis, but we talked about building the infrastructure of America in a green way. I do believe, as I said when I was speaker before, and continue to say, the climate crisis is the existential threat of our time in terms of our priorities here. The climate issue is a jobs issue. America must be preeminent in the world in advancing green technology. It's a public health issue. It's about clean air, clean water, safety of our environment for our children. It's a national security issue, has been made clear by national security experts again and again and currently. and it's a moral issue. If you believe, as I do, that this is God's creation, we have a moral responsibility to be good stewards of it. But even if you don't share that view, I think we all agree that we have a moral responsibility to future generations to pass on this planet in a responsible way. Democrats, H.R. 9, the Climate Action Now, demands action demanding America keep up our Paris agreements and demanding a plan from the administration. Mr. President, don't walk away from the Paris Accord as you have said you would, and let's see what you have in mind instead. In coming weeks and months, our Select Committee on the Climate Crisis, headed by Kathy Castor, she's spectacular. She knows her subject. She has her enthusiasm for it. She's seen her community suffer from the consequences of climate change. She's been outstanding, and they've organized already. So they're going to have their first hearing next week. So stay tuned on there. But we've made it. When I had the speaker before, we had the Select Committee on Climate with Ed Markey chairing it. This time it's not only a Select Committee, but it is a Congress-wide agenda. Every chairman, look to your brief, see how you can, whether it's in building the infrastructure in a green way, or whether it is building broadband in our country so that communication is improved, and receiving people's suggestions about how, especially young people, about climate. So it is a caucus-wide effort for the people. What I wanted to say in closing is that what would be the proper adjective? Shameful, sad, irresponsible of the President of the United States and the Republicans on the Intelligence Committee to take the actions that they have. They're just plain afraid. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of competence. They're afraid of a leader who is recognized in our country for being calm, professional, patriotic. I'm so proud of the work of Chairman Adam Schiff, in stark contrast to the irresponsible, almost criminal behavior of the previous chair of the committee. So what is the president afraid of? Is he afraid of the truth? That he would go after a member, a chairman of a committee, a respected chairman of a committee in the Congress? I think they're just scaredy cats. They just don't know what to do, so they have to make an attack. They did the wrong thing. American people know that. It's their own insecurity, their own fear of the truth, their fear of the facts, and their fear of an effective, patriotic leader in his measured way is going to make sure the American people know the truth. Any questions?
So, following up on that, Madam Speaker, in the last Congress, there was pressure put on the Republican leader of the committee to at least recuse him. Well, he decided to recuse himself from the Russia-related investigation. Do you foresee a reason for Chairman Schiff to have to do something similar under this kind of pressure? And then I got one other question.
It's curious that, maybe since your birthday, they may allow you two questions. It's curious that you said he recused himself. He denies that he recused himself. He should have recused himself. He gave you the impression that he recused himself, but he never did. He acted in a very bad way. What's your next question?
Well, Chairman Schiff and other committee chairmen have asked the Attorney General to release the full Mueller report by next Tuesday.
Yes.
If they don't, would you support subpoenaing the Justice Department for the whole report and all the underlying documents?
I support my chairman. I'm very proud of the work of all 6 chairmen. You want me to name them? Adam Schiff, Elijah Cummings, Jerry Nadler, Maxine Waters, Richie Neal, and Foreign Affairs has a piece of this, Elliot Engel, as well. And they all 6 have made that request. We'll see what their actions are. As you may know, I'm a big believer in the committee system here in the Congress. They take the first bite of this wormy apple, and I'll trust their judgment as to how we go forward.
Speaker Pelosi, the Barr letter quotes the Mueller report, and it says, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. Are you ready to accept that there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians?
What I'm ready to do is act for the people with our bill to lower costs for prescription drugs and health care, increase paychecks by building infrastructure of America, and having honest government as we passed H.R. 1. In terms of this is a responsibility we have to uphold the Constitution. I have said, and I'll say again, no thank you, Mr. Attorney General. We do not need your interpretation. Show us the report, and we can draw our own conclusions. We don't need you interpreting for us. It was condescending, it was arrogant, and it wasn't the right thing to do. So the sooner they can give us the information, the sooner we can all make a judgment about it. Let me just say again what I said to you before. And somebody thought I was joking when I said this. I'm deadly serious. If a foreign government comes to you and says they have information on your opponent, I say to any member of Congress or person running for office, you take that right to the FBI. So for this report to say that there was no tacit cooperation, well, yeah, if they didn't bring the information to the FBI, they were delinquent in their responsibilities.
Madam Speaker,
thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Woman.
It's okay. I defer to Chad because I think he'd be upset if he doesn't.
Well, I defer to my neighbor. She lives in my neighbor. Go ahead.
And I defer to you.
This is how Virginians act with each other. Thank you, Madam Speaker. A different topic, climate change, as you mentioned, H.R. 9, you all unveiled yesterday. When you were Speaker under the previous president, though, the House passed a bill to actually launch a cap-and-trade system for significant climate change agenda. The bill yesterday instead asks the president to come up with a plan.
Now,
and I understand that committees are working separately, but why is it that you feel the president should come up with a plan when he said clearly he's not interested in this issue?
Well, there's no question the president is in denial about a lot of things, but he's in denial on the climate crisis. This bill yesterday was not our bill. This bill was announcing the series, the continuation of the hearings that we're having on the climate crisis, whether we're dealing with it in terms of a public health issue, a national security issue, an economic issue to create jobs, or a moral issue to preserve the planet. So what we're saying to the president, you're walking away from Paris, what do you have to offer? But from our standpoint, we've only just begun. Yes, ma'am.
To follow on Manu's question, do you feel that the committee should still be full steam ahead on the issue of collusion, or given the discrepancy between the Mueller report and Barr's summary, should the focus be mostly on obstruction of justice?
How can I just say this more clearly? Show us the report. Show us the report. Now, it was interesting to see in one of the, as we frequently reference, Hill Rags, that Mueller has said, and I don't know if this is true, it just was the headline, that the grand juries are still continuing their work. But it's no use for us to have this discussion. We have to see the facts. We have to see what the report is. And we do not need an attorney general whose job interview was that the president is above the law, that doesn't think a president can be indicted, to be our interpreter of something that he should just show us. And again, I made my statement on it. We are focused on meeting the needs of the American people in their lives, and that is not what the administration is doing. And you would think the Justice Department would be busy vetting the report so it could more quickly bring it to the public in public view. Instead, what do? They're going to court to overturn every single provision of the Affordable Care Act. Not a good use of their time. We'll see them in court.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Chad.
Thank you. So you have taken impeachment off the table. Al Green and Rashida Tlaib last night again made a push. They said the president doesn't have to commit a crime to be doing this. I said, well, isn't there distance between those two members and the leadership since you've taken it off the table? And they said, no, leadership always tells us to reflect our district. Do you think that they are reflecting their district? Is there distance between some of your members on impeachment and your position on impeachment right now?
With all due respect to you, Chad, I don't think that's an important question. The important question is, when are we going to see the information? Now, some people have been asking for impeachment for a while. That doesn't impact my action. My action is, what we want to do here is to be transparent so the American people have the facts and the truth. Show us the report. Secondly, and by the way, 80% plus of the American people say they want to see the report. 420 members of the House of Representatives, Democrats and Republicans, voted yes, show us the report. So that's what we want to see. What other things that are going on are interesting, but they're not dispositive of the course of action we take. Look to our 6 chairs and the direction they're going in. Now, on that score, in terms of all of that, transparency, bipartisanship, unity. That's what we promised as we came in and how we did our For the People agenda. So the American people could see what the choices were legislatively. No dark of night, speed of light, giving tax breaks to the top 1%, 83% of the benefits to the top 1%. No. Let the public see what the choices are. Let's go through the committee process so they have time to make their judgment as to whether their interests are served or the special dark interests are served in our country. Transparency. Secondly, bipartisanship. On this vote, every single person voted. 4 abstained, but nobody voted no about releasing this report. And I do think, and I've said it, and I'll keep saying it, I think that impeachment is a very divisive issue in our country. And we shouldn't impeach a president because of a political reason, or we should not impeach a president if the evidence is there for impeachment. But that's not where we are. Okay. I think just one more question. Yes,
Can I ask about the Violence Against Women Act?
Yes, please.
It's coming up for the floor next week, and it looks like the NRA is going to oppose the bill.
Yeah.
What do you think that means for the fate of the law, and would Democrats be willing to take out the NRA-related provision in order to get this bill reauthorized?
No, the bill is, as we will present it to the floor of the House. And what we're talking about is, let me just give you a little background on VAWA. This is something many of us were present at the birth of in the 90s. Joe Biden actually took the lead on this in that legislation. I, as an appropriator, was part of the funding of the VAWA. So this has something that has great meaning in our country, ending violence against women. When we had, 5 years ago, the reauthorization of the bill, the Senate voted in a bipartisan way for VAWA. Bipartisan way, VAWA. In the House, the Speaker refused to bring the bill to the floor for hundreds of days. Hundreds of days. You know why? Because the Republican position was, we're against violence against women, but not women who are immigrants, not women who are LGBTQ, and not women who are Native American. Really? Some of the most vulnerable women in our population. They didn't want to protect them. So we had a big ongoing fight until we made it too hot for them to handle. We just made it too hot. The outside mobilization, God bless the outside, whether it's protecting health care or whatever, the outside mobilization just weighed in. So that they finally agreed to bring both bills to the floor, the Senate bipartisan bill and their nasty anti-immigrant, anti-Native American, anti-LGBTQ women legislation. They thought that was a good idea. They voted for that overwhelmingly. We voted for the other bill. So here we are now, and some of the provisions of the VAWA bill relate to what do you call them, stalkers, having guns. They're very discrete provisions that relate to protecting women's safety. And they're against it. I don't see that it has that much impact on the passage of the bill in the House of Representatives. That's it. That was the last question. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday again. Are those your Golden State Warriors blue there? For the finals or just the start of the playoffs?
Wait to see what I have.
Okay.
There's a gift from my colleagues about the Golden State Warriors.
For your birthday? It was a birthday present?
No, it was just
Okay.
friendship.
You've been watching House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's weekly news conference in Washington, D.C. While she was speaking, or shortly before, we did get a little bit of news. You heard the Speaker mentioning the Mueller report and the President's reaction to it, and the Democrats' insistence that the entire report be released. Of course, U.S. Attorney General William Barr released a 4-page summary of the full Mueller report, but not the entire document. And the word that's come in while we're in there is that the report is more than 300 pages long. That's according to a Justice Department official and another person familiar with the report. Barr and House Judiciary Committee Chairman Representative Gerald Nadler spoke about the length of the report during a phone call Wednesday. The folks who spoke publicly about the length of the report did so on condition of anonymity to discuss the confidential report. Of course, as I mentioned, Barr released a 4-page summary of the report Sunday and is expected to release a public version of the document in the coming weeks. He said yesterday he was hoping to do so in April, and it wouldn't extend longer than that. Of course, President Trump has been tweeting about the report, the media's coverage of it, and other reactions. Here was, he's taken to criticizing Congressman Adam Schiff of California, who he says spent 2 years knowingly and unlawfully lying and leaking, should be forced to resign from Congress. Schiff is the chairman of the committee that's been doing some of the investigations here. I also saw President Trump's son, who criticizing Schiff's prior comments, alleging that he had committed perjury before Schiff's committee, taking the congressman to task. Another tweet from the president this morning was about the FBI and Department of Justice going to review what he called the outrageous Jussie Smollett case in Chicago, saying it's an embarrassment to our nation. Fox's Doug Luzader filed a report with us this morning talking about the case. I know I've tried to play this for you a couple times this morning. If this doesn't work, I'll eat my hat because I completely re-rendered it. So let's. Here is Doug Luzader's report from this morning.
Well, President Trump's post-Robert Mueller investigation victory lap, I guess you could call it, continues today. He's going to take a trip out to the Midwest.
Democrats in Washington, though, they say not so fast. They want to see the special counsel's actual report. They're still saying, show me the report, Doug.
Yeah.
They are. And look, we'll probably see it. It's really just going to be a question of when. The president is talking about releasing some of the underlying classified documents that kind of kicked off this investigation from the get-go. Democrats, meantime, are going to continue to press their case. We have certainly seen boisterous Trump rallies before, but the one tonight in Michigan could be off the charts. With much of special counsel Robert Mueller's probe now in his rearview mirror, the president is turning his attention to how the investigation began and talking about declassifying warrant applications that some believe could point to wrongdoing at the FBI.
It was treason. It was really treason. If the Republican Party had done this to the Democrats, if we had done this to President Obama, You'd have 100 people in jail right now, and it would be treason.
Democrats, though, want to see the Mueller report and all supporting documents, which could amount to perhaps millions of pages, and trying to make the case that the president may have obstructed justice.
The Attorney General should release it promptly. In the interest of transparency, we should all be able to see the Mueller report with a few appropriate redactions.
Other Democrats, though, are moving on, including some who are going to push for impeachment regardless of Mueller's conclusions.
A president does not have to commit a crime to be impeached.
Democratic leaders going to try to tamp down some of that talk about impeachment, at least for now, concerned about getting kind of ahead of public opinion on it. But that talk is out there. Back to you guys.
Yeah, I saw last night that somebody asked Monica Lewinsky, what if, Ken Starr, this whole thing back during the Clinton impeachment era, if it had all been turned over to Janet Reno, who is the Attorney General, and, she would have analyzed it and just let it go. Well, the story continues. We'll see what happens. Doug, thank you.
Again, that was Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader reporting from Washington this morning. Finally got it to play out for you. We are awaiting. We brought you the Democratic Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi's news conference. We expect very shortly the news conference from Senate Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy of California. That should take place in this conference room here, so we'll stay with the shot for a couple moments until that begins. I believe this was slated for 11:30, so should get underway soon. Excuse me, Kevin McCarthy is the House Minority Leader. Misspoke there. Here is the aforementioned House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, beginning his news conference in Washington.
We're the 116th Congress. Now, as most of you know, I always like to give measurements. I believe in outcomes and results, just as when we were in the majority as well. So I'd like to measure how the new Democrat majority has performed so far. When comparing this first quarter with the first quarter of our majority last year, 141 bills passed out of the committee in the last Congress. Just 68 have passed so far this year. 132 bills had passed out of the House last Congress, and just 97 have passed this year. But I want you to reflect on those numbers. The Democrat number, of course, is less productive than we were, but what's really telling here is the number of bills they passed on the floor is higher than the number of bills they passed out of the committee. So much for regular order, so much for the people's house. It's leadership deciding what comes, not the body of the House getting to work on issues. They have passed fewer bipartisan bills. They have had far less enactment into law. So what's behind these numbers? Much as I stated a couple weeks ago, this new socialist Democrat wing of the party is now calling the shots. And they have torpedoed the legislative agenda the Speaker and the Democrats had promised to the American public. It is well reported that their first three legislative package would cover health care costs, infrastructure, and their so-called ethics reform. They have only done one of those things, and they didn't even get a single Republican to vote for it. And perhaps the most egregious omission of their promise is a budget. Let's remember what Speaker Pelosi said. Show me your budget, show me your values. They have no budget. Does that mean they have no values? Remarkably, after just 3 months, Democrats have decided that they won't even produce a budget out of committee. What are they doing instead? Well, first, we have Chairman Cummings and the Oversight Committee just last week requested financial information on the president and his business for the past 10 years. 10 years. Looking at the president's private business when he was not a candidate, nor was he in office. If that's where the chairman wants to go, I also wonder if he intends to follow through on his clear statement. One of the first big hearings they had, they brought in Michael Cohen. And I want to quote Chairman Cummings. I have made it abundantly clear to Mr. Cohen that if he comes here today and he does not tell the truth, tell us the truth. I will be the first one to refer those untruthful statements to the DOJ. Chairman Cummings promised the American public that he would be the first one that would refer them. Now we know Mr. Cohen lied to Congress. The question is, will Mr. Cummings keep his promise? Will he be referring the lies to the DOJ, just as he promised not only his committee, but the American public? This move by the committee is clearly the latest attempt to ignore the facts, shift the American people's attention, and continue to try to damage this president. Now, let me be clear. This does absolutely nothing to solve actual problems for the American public. I also want to note that today was the second public hearing of the House Intelligence Committee. What the American people didn't hear at the top of the hearing was any sense of apology from the chairman. We all know his conduct for the past 2 years. What's ironic, when Mueller presented his report on March 22nd, it was the 2-year anniversary of the lie that Chairman Schiff made, that he had proof. On March 22nd, 2017, then Ranking Member Adam Schiff told the American public, I can tell you that the case is more than that, and I can't go into any particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. March 2019, he said, a growing body of evidence of obstruction of justice. Just this month he said this. In February of 2019, ample evidence of collusion. I think that there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in plain sight. March 2018, Dim's report will show the facts supporting the issue of collusion. In May of 2017, there is evidence of collusion. All Americans should be concerned with the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee taking the position of judge and jury and perpetuating false information to the American people for the last 2 years. Today in that hearing, every single Republican signed a letter that this chairman, they have lost confidence. They do not believe, no matter what they work on, that the American public can trust them. This is not a committee that's set by a steering committee. One person alone decides who sits on that committee for the Democrat, and one person who decides on the Republican side, me. It's now up to Nancy Pelosi to remove Chairman Schiff. We need to restore the trust in the Intelligence Committee, the work of the national security, the idea that you would have a chairman of a committee of this nature, the work that is involved in this committee, that would lie to the American public, not apologize, but use the tactics of Senator Joe McCarthy to attack his own members. There's nothing that could come from this committee that can be trusted. It is time to turn the page. The Democrats have wasted their majority. They said you have to show a budget to show values, but now they won't even do a budget. They allow a person who lies to us to be a head of an intel committee. Does America truly believe, or does Adam Schiff truly believe he knows something more than Mueller? That 40 FBI agents, 19 attorneys, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 witnesses, looking into 13 different countries and saying no collusion at all? He needs to resign from the committee. Let me open it up for questions. Yes, sir.
Leader, given the political or the cause for Adam Schiff to resign, and given the problems the Democrats had with Devin Nunes last year, maybe you and the Speaker get together and agree that your top members on the Intelligence Committee should just quit together? I mean,
Well,
there were all those issues with Congressman Nunes the last 2 years.
And
he was in charge.
didn't the Mueller report justify exactly what Chairman Nunes has said? I think Chairman Nunes comes out on top. The concerns that he had with what was being said, what was being done, was just proven correct. There is a difference here, drastically. One member lied to the American public. One member told the truth and was attacked for it. Now that the truth is told that Chairman Nunes was correct, and where truth is told that Adam Schiff lied to the American public, continue to lie up until March of this year. Now, I think Speaker and I should get together and remove Schiff. She doesn't need me to get together with her to do it. She can do it today. And you know what? I removed a member from our own committees. This is what Adam Schiff has done, lying to the American public, and he is chairman of the Intel Committee. This is the committee that sees things that the majority of members do not get to know. How can you trust that individual? He has an entire one side of the committee that has no trust in him at all. How can he research anything? How can we stand up against our enemies and trust what is being done if Adam Schiff lied to us for 2 years? How can their own Democrats stand behind what he says? He didn't even apologize. Does he think he knows more than Mueller? Yes.
Do you support the administration's request to cut funding for the Special Olympics?
No. I fully support Special Olympics.
Mr. Leader. Mr. Leader.
Senator Lindsey Graham has said that he would like to see a special counsel investigation into the FISA warrant process. Do you agree?
Yes, wholeheartedly. We want to make sure people are being protected, that their privacy is being protected. Of what has been said that went on during that FISA program, and especially after coming back with what Mueller's report says, I think all of America would want to know. And I think Senator Lindsey Graham should continue.
Leader McCarthy, what about, now, I know you spoke with the President yesterday about health care. Aren't there risks, though, to what they might do if this were to end Obamacare, depending on how the court would rule, and isn't there peril there for your members? I understand you want to repeal. I understand that there's nothing, you're not in the majority, so you can't put something together. I know you would say, well, we have to work with the Democrats. But this could do damage to your party because you leave people on the hook.
Make this promise to you, and it's a conversation I have with the President. The Republicans will make sure pre-existing conditions are protected. We voted on that already this year, but the President and I have talked numerous times. We talk quite often, but this is one of the conversations we have greatly, that we support protecting pre-existing conditions. What we do have a problem with, one, that the Democrats wrote a bill that's unconstitutional. Democrats promised us if you like your health care, you could keep it. We found that not to be true. We saw premiums have now risen when they said they would go down. But what is more scary than all of this is half of all the Democrats have all co-sponsored what they truly want health care to be, what is called Medicare for All. That would remove more than 150 Americans today their ability to have health care through their private insurance, and take away Medicare Advantage to the seniors. That is a concern that we continue to work on, and the fear that we have, the Democrats in this majority that they have wasted, but have spent so much time to remove individuals' health care.
Leader
Yes.
McCarthy, what did you say to the President on this score, and did you say anything along the lines of advising him against or saying it could be a political mistake to try and support the lawsuit?
No, the President and I are very clear. We believe Obamacare has been a failure to the public. The premiums have risen. They lost their health care. We support pre-existing conditions. We have been very clear about that, and that's a lot of our conversation was about that. We want to find a health care system that actually lowers your premiums. A health care system that gives you a relationship of a patient with a doctor. And a lot of our conversation was about the fear and analyzing what this Democrat proposal is from the New Socialist Democrats. It was part of the Green New Deal. that it would take away any private health care. More than 150 Americans have it. Medicare Advantage, it would remove individuals from that. And the worst part about it, it would bankrupt Medicare. So those who are on Medicare today, it would collapse. That's what we mostly talked about.
But a report
Yes,
that
ma'am.
that you said overturning the ACA without a replacement. Are those inaccurate?
House is going to consider the Violence Against Women Act next
Mm-hmm.
week. The NRA is asking lawmakers to vote against it because of a provision involving stripping domestic abusers of their guns. Where do you stand on that? Do you agree?
Well,
with NRA?
I stood to make sure VAWA did not expire. Right now, VAWA is expired. You know why? One individual, Speaker Pelosi. When we went to move the extension, we had it in there. Every other leader agreed to extend it. She did not.
But what will you
This is not an opportunity and is not a reason to play political games. I think the best thing for us to do is to extend the current VAWA into the rest of the year. She's playing political games. That's why she expired it, and that's the wrong way to take this. Let's solve this problem once and for all. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik actually has a bill that would extend the current VAWA, which I voted for, the rest of the year. Yes.
Mr. McCarthy, if Republicans were not able to agree on a replacement plan when you were in charge of Congress, why should Americans be confident that you can come up with a replacement now and that it won't be repealed without a plan B in place?
Okay, first let me take your question. You said Republicans in Congress could not agree on a replacement plan. That part's not true. We did pass a bill out of the House. It just didn't pass the Senate. I think America agrees to all those millions who lost their health care when they promised they were. To all those Americans who promised their premiums would go down and it went up. The case before in court is no different than it was a week ago. Nothing has changed in this process. I think what you see from the Republicans is that we want health care to cost less. We want people to have a greater relationship, and we want to protect pre-existing conditions. What the Democrats have moved on to now is Medicare for All, that would remove hundreds of millions of Americans from their ability to have the health care, because they could no longer have private health insurance. Medicare Advantage would be removed. That's what the debate is about. Yes, sir.
Senator McCarthy, does Speaker Pelosi have a problem in her ranks when some of her members are still fighting for impeachment and she says no to impeachment for now?
I think she has more problems in her ranks than just that. When she can't produce a resolution on the floor condemning anti-Semitism and name a member who's done it. Compare when a member of my own party said something that we fundamentally disagree with as Americans and we disagree with as a party of Lincoln. We did not hesitate. We denounced the comments, and we removed that member from all his committees. This wasn't the first time a member of her committee said anti-Semitic remarks. And it wasn't the Democrats who stood up. It was the Republicans who offered a motion to recommit that the Democrats had to accept. We have few options to bring anything to the floor. Then that same individual went even further, questioned Americans of Jewish faith if they could be committed to their own nation. Members in her own party wanted to write a resolution. She came back after the weekend and said she would and she could not. Then she had to water it down. So if the question is, does she have problems in the ranks? Yes. The question is, do the new socialist Democrats run the party? Looking at their agenda for the first 3 months, the answer is yes. No budget. More bills on the floor but haven't gone through committee. That's not the people's house. That's not for the people. The agenda they laid out, they haven't been able to produce. And now they have a chairman of the Intel Committee where we go to protect Americans around the world and our own nation, lie to the American public for the last 2 years. It's not me saying it. It's a Mueller report saying it. That everybody trusted this individual, that the Democrats spent their time all last year to try to produce a bill that he could not be fired, and he was not. A bill you didn't have to produce. And it wasn't just him who did the work. $25 million. He had grand juries. He could subpoena people. He had FBI agents. He was unlimited in his resources. He doesn't apologize, and the Speaker allows him to stay as chairman. That is unacceptable. Not from a point of a Republican, but from a point of the Republic. We want to know we're safe. We want to know we can trust what comes out of that committee. He has no ability to produce his job when every single member on the other side said, I can't stand for you to stay as chair. And to equate that any way with Congressman Devin Nunes is wrong. Devin Nunes was proven correct. That's what the report says. We should praise him. He stood up when others wanted to go after him for telling the truth. And then they allow somebody who openly lied to us up until even last month, and his only recourse is to attack the people that bring it forth. We've watched somebody in this body do this before. Senator Joe McCarthy, who had a gavel, who accused people of communism. When people stood up to him, he attacked them, their own members. We made a commitment in Congress that we would not allow that to continue. The Democrats are allowing that today. And one person can change all that, and that's the Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy holding his weekly news conference there in D.C., talking a lot about the Democratic Party's priorities and discussing the number of bills that they have passed, including those whether they've come through committee or just gone straight to the House floor. That's going to do it for us today. You've been watching Fox 29 News Now. Here's a live look at Atlantic City. Beautiful day outside. If you get a chance, get outside, get some lunch. Of course, we've got Phillies opening day coming up later today at 3 o'clock, 3:05. Phillies play the Atlanta Braves. Have a great day. We'll see you back here at 10 a.m. tomorrow. We're with you each day after Good Day Philadelphia, each weekday. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your Thursday.